Raditz and Kakarot encounter Turles together. This time, he's much stronger though, finally unleashing the power of an infernal Saiyan. It seems he has the upper hand, but thankfully, Raditz was able to get a Fruit of Tree of Might as well, unlocking the same form as Turles. Although, he wasn't really able to control the power, but he did use it as a perfect distraction against Turles. But Turles was able to make a great escape, thanks to the help from one of his allies, Broly. Now, Kakarot and Raditz are drifting out in space with no idea of where they're going. Where will they end up? We'll be covering all that and more in part 11 of What If Goku Was Evil. The two brothers fly randomly out in space. They feel like they're kinda screwed because once their stamina runs dry, their forms will disappear and they'll just die in the vacuum of space. Raditz is still trying to expel all this extra power. He has too much of it and it's making him feel antsy. He's very anxious about it. And Kakarot tells Raditz, it's nice that they got close to killing Turles. That means it's possible. Also, that new form of his is awesome. Raditz continues flying, dragging Kakarot behind him as he does so. Kind of annoying for Kakarot, but whatever, this is the only way they're going to survive out here. They stop on random planets to see if they have some sort of atmosphere. Through trial and error, they do eventually find one. Some even have life forms on it, but nothing intelligent. At least that means they have food. And a place to stay. It's not the most ideal situation, but now they can actually rest somewhere, being able to briefly remain on these planets that they find. Raditz is still concerned about his new power, and he's still overflowing with it. It's like he's hyped up on caffeine almost, he's so energized. He doesn't even sleep. Well, at least not at first. But he's starting to feel a little bit better, and this gets him to truly realize how much power was in that form. The fact that it took him this long to even drain a fraction of it. His body couldn't handle all the power. If he kept it inside though, he definitely would have died, so it's good that it turned out this way at least. And now that they finally have some sort of time to rest, or at least Kakarot could rest, they have some time to discuss too. Who the hell was that with Turles? Definitely someone strong. Kakarot couldn't sense his full power, but he could briefly sense his power when he blew up that star. The fact that it only took a fraction of his power to do that, it shows that he's probably on their level too. Obviously Kakarot was too far to see, but if that guy was being serious, he'd be way less casual about it, and Kakarot would be able to sense it within his energy. So, potentially another Saiyan, huh? Well, that doesn't matter. Kakarot laughs to himself. No matter what, they'll get Raditz to utilize that power, and together, they'll crush the Crusher Core, including Turles and his new friend Broly. Kakarot and Raditz have their own paths now, with Kakarot utilizing Supreme Saiyan still, as Raditz tries to learn this new power of Infernal Saiyan. It seems Kakarot actually has a true ally now. It's amazing. It's his brother. Of course, this isn't a traditional alliance. It's not like they're working for good. These two are pretty bad people. Look at the title of the scenario after all. But maybe they're not as bad as they think. Maybe with this bond forming between them, there's something changing within them as well. Slowly, but surely. They're not the same people they once were. Evident with the fact that Kakarot's actually now in good terms with his brother instead of abandoning him like he did before with Turles, when he first turned on the Saiyans. For now, they could recharge a little bit more, and then fly through space trying to find some other planet. Well, mainly Kakarot needs to recharge. He just needs to get some extra power so he can keep utilizing that form so he can breathe out in space. As for Raditz, he still has excess energy. It's fine for him. And Raditz asks, where are they supposed to go next? Kakarot has no idea. They don't really know how to navigate throughout space. Except, Kakarot does have an idea. What if they try to sense a power somewhere and go towards that? Ideally something familiar. Of course, there's not too many powers they could sense out in space. Vaguely, very far away, they could sense Turles. Alright, so go in the opposite direction. Kakarot spends time focusing, hours actually. He can't sense anything out there. But at one point, he picks up on something. And it's a power that's familiar actually. Something that he hasn't sensed in a while. He hatches a plan. An amazing idea actually. He turns to Raditz. Remember those Dragon Balls that Lord Slug got? Raditz remembers. Are they going to use those? Nope. They're probably guarded by Granola by now if anything, and he's an ally who could be useful for later. Besides, Kakarot can't even sense Granola, so he can't even travel there if he wanted. But there's another place that he's sensing right now. An energy from an old friend, Tenshinhan. He tells Raditz, that planet that he found Kakarot on before, Earth, it also has Dragon Balls. And this is what they'll do. They'll go to Earth, get the Dragon Balls there, and they can wish for whatever they want. Raditz likes this plan. Sure, they can go there, but Kakarot knows how to get there? Well, not necessarily, but briefly, he just sensed Tenshinhan's energy flare up. He must be training or something. They just gotta wait for it to flare up again, and then they can just fly in that general direction. It'll grow stronger as they grow closer. The two of them eventually sense it again, traveling over to Earth. Thankfully, they move pretty quickly in space. The power Raditz has allows them to travel across galaxies within a few days. That's how far they've gotten by now. And by continuing their method of planet hopping, they're able to survive along the way with food, eventually arriving in a very familiar solar system. They land on a small cold planet for the time being, and in the distance, they could see a star, the same sun that Kakarot grew up under. And Kakarot senses that power once more. Earth is that way. The two of them power up, leaping from this planet. And Raditz is glad. He thought that was the planet that they meant to land on. And Kakarot laughs. Raditz is calling Pluto a planet. With this one powerful leap, they jump across the entire solar system, descending in on Earth. Kakarot powers down. breathing in the air here. For once, they're on a normal, habitable planet. But something strange. He looks around. This planet isn't as peaceful as it once was. It looks like it's war-torn, at least the area that he landed in. And Kakarot senses two powers nearby, two very familiar powers, Ten and Chaozu. They fly over, also sensing Kakarot. They can't believe their eyes. So it actually is him, and his brother too. Kakarot doesn't know what to say, and Ten's angered actually. Why'd he leave? What's he here for? He remembers the terms in which Kakarot left, and all this time he's actually sensed Kakarot's power out in space, as well as hearing those stories on the news about stars and whatever disappear. Ten thinks Kakarot here to destroy their solar system the same way that he did with others. And he and Chaozu jump in to try and fight Kakarot. Kakarot tells him he could explain, effortlessly dodging all their attacks and defeating them pretty easily as well. He tells them to calm the hell down. That's not what he's here for, and that wasn't even his fault. He gives them a brief rundown of what's happened out in space, but more importantly, he wants to know what's happened here. Ten apologizes for losing his cool. It's been so long since he's seen Kakarot, and so much has changed here that he didn't know if he could even trust Kakarot being here. And it's not much, but one thing that brings trust to Ten is the fact that Kakarot's still wearing his crane school clothes. It's nothing huge, but the fact that Kakarot still has Earthling clothes like that, it shows that he still has somewhat of a connection to Earth in his past. He hasn't completely abandoned it. Ten starts explaining. He tells Kakarot, he remembers the Red Ribbon Army, right? Yeah, of course. What happened with them? Ten says it's a long story. The Red Ribbon Army continued to expand further, obtaining Dragon Balls, which were used by Commander Red for his gain, and he used them to just grow a little bit taller. This pissed off Black, who ended up killing him, viewing Red as incompetent, and this led to some infighting between the army, with some who were loyal to Red using the name Red Ribbon Army, going against Black, who now reads the Black Ribbon Army. Mercenary Tao was hired as a mercenary for this war, and he roped his brother in, who then roped in the Crane School. Ten ended up defecting with Chaozu. He didn't want to be a mercenary, he signed up to be a martial artist. They didn't have too much of a choice either. Shen didn't like it too much, but he was helping his brother. And Ten wanted to put a stop to this, defeating both of the armies. He thought it would be possible, making the Neo Crane School, formed by him and Chaozu, with remains of their old rivals, the Turtle School. Two more people fly over, wearing orange geese. Ten introduces them to Kakarot. This is Yamcha and Krillin, who are both a little bit worried to meet these two, sensing their great powers. And Kakarot's not too concerned by this. So the Red Ribbon Army has Dragon Balls. He turns to Raditz. They can just defeat the Red Ribbon Army and get the Dragon Balls that way. Although, he doesn't say out loud that he wants the Dragon Balls. But he tells Ten, they'll defeat the army on their own. And Ten says it isn't easy. Sure, their soldiers aren't really an issue, but their androids are. Wait, androids? Yep. One side has androids created by Dr. Gero, or at least they did have that. There's actually one of his relatives, Dr. Hato, on the other side who made more androids. Gero had a mix of androids. Some were robots, some were cyborgs, and even one was himself. On the other side, there was an army of clones, Gammas. This war got out of control, eventually leading to a war between androids. The first few weren't that bad, but the androids grew stronger as the war raged on. Gero's first breakthrough was Android 13, and he continued making more from there, while on the other side, Hato continued making more Gammas, growing stronger and stronger. But they eventually reigned victorious. With an endless army of Gammas, they won. And now the Earth is overrun with them. He may have had good intentions with making the androids. At first, they were heroic, but it's not like he's the only scientist in the army. Others were able to take his blueprints, working with them, and creating a mindless army of drones. Gammas working for their own gain. Detecting these great powers, some of the Gammas fly over. Kakarot and Raditz can't sense their energy, but Kakarot launches a beam at one of them, instantly eradicating him. The Neo Crane School members look on amazed. They defeated one that quickly? And Kakarot chuckles. This shouldn't be too tough. He turns to Raditz. They know what to do now. Both power up into Super Saiyan. Oh yeah, he'll explain this later to Ten. More and more Gammas come their way as Kakarot and Raditz easily fight through the army. They probably don't even need Super Saiyan for this, but as more of the army comes out, they just continue to wipe out more of the Gammas. The Neo Crane School watches on, not believing their eyes. Krillin remembers that Ten had a really strong friend that he mentioned before, but he didn't know he was this powerful. Ten actually kind of wanted to seek Kakarot out, seeing if he could help with this war. But he didn't know how that would be possible, and he didn't know if Kakarot would actually help here. But look how quickly he's doing this. Within minutes, Kakarot and Raditz destroy the entire army of Gammas. And as a little bit extra, they go to the bases of the Black and the Red Ribbon armies, eliminating them as well. Kakarot and Raditz turn back, telling Ten that's done with, and now they can look for the Dragon Balls. But then they realize, crap, the tech used to track the Dragon Balls are probably in those bases somewhere. So they're gonna have to go look through the rubble. Ten and the others don't know what to say, but then they feel a giant rumbling, and Kakarot senses a strange power, with Raditz feeling it too. It's an amalgamation of power. He can sense the energies of the humans, as well as himself and Raditz? Wait, what is this? Ten has no clue either. In the distance, they see a giant figure looming over, with glowing eyes looking over at them. The shadow jumps up in the air, jumping in front of the sun, blocking out all the light as it lands nearby. It's a giant red monster. Ten and the others back up. They have never seen this before. They have no clue what it is. Maybe it's some sort of contingency plan or something. some monster that the army made. They don't know what this android is, but it's Cell Max. Through covert operations, plans from Gero were stolen by the Black Ribbon Army, meant to be used against him. Apparently he wanted to make some sort of android named Cell, but nothing ever came out of that. At least, not for the Red Ribbon Army. The Black Ribbon Army, they started a new project, Cell Max, made with DNA data stolen from Gero, as well as blueprints stolen from him, reverse engineered by Hato. And yes, he was a contingency plan. Being fully brainwashed too, he's actually intelligent here. But Kakarot and Raditz note something interesting. They sense their power within this android, but have no clue why. They don't know the reasoning behind this, nor does anyone else. They both power back up into Super Saiyan, and Cell Max actually stumbles backwards, confused by this. They ask Cell Max who he is, if he can even respond. Nervously he laughs, telling them who he is and what he was created for, and why they can't defeat him. He has their DNA. Data from them and every other strong fighter here. But Kakarot inquires, when did he get this data? Well, it was from the last time Kakarot and Raditz were both here. Really now? Kakarot smirks. Well, looks like he missed out on a lot of stuff. Ten and the others are terrified, but Kakarot tells them not to worry. This thing is probably not as strong as they think. It's impressive. He looks cool and he probably could grow strong if given the proper data. But Kakarot and Raditz are here for the Dragon Balls and this thing's gonna stand in their way. The two launch up in the air, ready to fight together, and they hold back, only using Super Saiyan. Cell Max is actually kind of a challenge for them in this form, but they get a gauge of his power, and Cell Max is worried. He didn't know they can get this strong, but it's still fine. He could defeat them. Until he learns that this isn't even close to their final form. This isn't even a fraction of their power at this point. Each of them power up. Their golden auras turn red, as their hair grows out, turning from golden to black. The two transform into Evil Saiyan, and effortlessly, they end up defeating Cell Max, who then proceeds to explode, almost killing everybody there. But Kakarot and Raditz actually defend them, because they still have a few questions for these guys. Inadvertently, they saved Earth, and Ten thanks Kakarot for his help, not knowing that he'd actually do that. And Kakarot says it was nothing, but then asks, since they saved Earth, he kinda wants Ten to do him a favor. Does he know anything about the Dragon Balls? And Ten's taken aback by this. Why is he asking about that? And this makes him concerned again. Why did Kakarot and Raditz want the Dragon Balls? Kakarot says, honestly, he's not sure yet. But once they come up with a wish, they're gonna use that to defeat Turles. And Ten doesn't fully believe this, but whatever. He tells Kakarot what he knows. The Dragon Balls are gone, and this isn't a lie. He tells Kakarot that Shenron and the Dragon Balls were destroyed. He doesn't say how though, but Ten knows. Ten eventually found Kami and started training under him, and Kami ended up deactivating the Dragon Balls, knowing they'd be used for evil again, and because they were actually the cause of this war before. He didn't want either of the armies getting them, because he knew they probably would be able to. Technically, they're not gone permanently, because Kami could recreate them, but Ten doesn't tell Kakarot everything about Kami. He implies that the Dragon Balls are permanently gone. Kakarot curses it. Well, looks like they got to a dead end. But maybe they could at least stay here for a bit. This is a habitable planet, and it actually has normal food that they could eat, so it could be better than what they've been doing. He thanks Kakarot for the help, but Kakarot says he was only really here for the Dragon Balls in all honesty. But Ten tells Kakarot that's not true. Kakarot wonders what he means by this, but Ten explains. He probably did want to help deep down. This was his home after all, and he probably knew to come here. Kakarot had briefly mentioned before that there were other Dragon Balls out there. He could have gone to any other planet, but he decided to come here. Maybe he actually did want to return. Maybe his heart led him back here because it was part of him. And Kakarot tells Ten to get real. They just inadvertently saved Earth. It wasn't intentional. But Krillin then steps up. He doesn't know Kakarot, but from what he could tell, he did save Earth. He could have taken the opportunity and taken over if he wanted, if he truly was fully evil. And Chaozu steps in too. They knew Kakarot before. He wasn't always like that. He just went down a darker path. But something tells Ten that path ended a long time ago maybe. Kakarot's a bit annoyed and embarrassed to hear this, and he angrily looks away, looking up to the sky. Ten steps up to him. He was once going down a bad path as well, but look what happened to him. Under these unique circumstances, he ended up turning into a pretty good person. And even though Kakarot's life went way differently than his, he did go through something similar. Kakarot may not want to admit it. Maybe it's the Saiyan side of him telling him other things. But Ten could tell. Some of Earth did rub off on him, just like it rubbed off on him and Chaozu. Kakarot grunts, but then chuckles. Maybe Ten is right. He did watch Kakarot grow after all. And even amidst his conquest, Kakarot considers his actions. He didn't even look at it this way before, but all the people he's faced, they've been evils, net evils for the universe. And even though he destroyed them for selfish reasons, he still was helping out inadvertently, and his whole path so far, he's accidentally been doing that. Maybe something's changing within him, and he doesn't even realize it. The same goes for Raditz as well. If they were truly fully evil, like Turles for example, they'd be going around continuously mindlessly destroying things, which they definitely were doing before. Kakarot was going around planting trees of might everywhere, and Raditz was going around being a normal Saiyan. Kakarot's actions don't fully show it yet, but Ten could see. There's some sort of humane side within him, and maybe it'll come to light soon. Right now, of course, it's buried deep within there. But he's not as concerned about Kakarot as he was when he first landed here again. You can see now, Kakarot hasn't fully been corrupted, and maybe he could turn over a new leaf just like Ten and Chaozu did. The humans leave the two brothers alone, and Krillin notes something strange. He tells Ten, for some reason, he feels like he should know Kakarot better. He doesn't know why because he's never met this dude before, but still. And Yamcha asks Ten, does he really trust them being here? And Ten reminds everybody, he and Chaozu, they were with Kakarot, growing up and training under the Crane School. They knew he was going down a dark path, but something's changed about him. Ten doesn't know why or how, but all that matters is, it's there. But now he wonders, what do the two want to wish for? And are they actually going to use the Dragon Balls for good? That might actually be the true judgment of their character, what kind of wish they make. And this is where we leave off for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What do you think's going to happen next going forward? Will Kakarot and Raditz eventually become more good, if anything? Or will they remain evil, going down a darker path? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.